All right, let's get into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the real secret behind modern manufacturing. We're going to explore this really elegant three-tiered system that lets companies build literally millions of products with an almost unbelievable level of precision.
I mean, really think about that question. How do you build a million of, well, anything? Your phone, your car, the device you're watching this on. Making just one is already pretty complicated, but a million? That sounds like a recipe for pure chaos, right? You've got materials coming from all over the globe, hundreds of workers, dozens of machines, and somehow every single item has to be perfect and ship on time. How on earth do you manage that?
While the secret isn't some single, gigantic, super rigid plan, no way. The real genius is in a nested system. It's like those Russian dolls. It's three separate but totally connected plans, each one working on a different timescale. And it's this layered approach that takes all that potential chaos and turns it into a finely tuned machine. So to really get this, we're gonna zoom in. We'll start way out with the big picture, year-long vision. Then we'll get closer and closer until we're looking at the minute-by-minute decisions happening on the factory floor right now. And here is basically a roadmap for this whole explainer. You can see exactly how these three plans just cascade into one another. The long-term plan sets the big direction, which then guides the midterm plan, and that, in turn, tells the short-term plan what to do. Each layer adds more and more detail, getting sharper and more focused as you get closer to the actual build date. Let's start at the top, the 30,000-foot view, the long-term plan. You really should think of this as the company's North Star. It's not about what needs to get done today or tomorrow. It's about pointing the entire ship in the right direction for the next year or maybe even longer. The official term for this is the Dai-Nite Keikaku, and its whole job is to make sure the factory is in sync with the company's biggest goals. It's all about answering those huge, fundamental questions like, what are we actually going to be making a year from now? And what massive resources, like new buildings or machines, are we going to need to pull that off? So this plan really boils down to three key things. First, you've got to try and predict the future. What are your customers actually going to want? That's demand forecasting. Then, based on that guess, you figure out if you need to buy new equipment or maybe even build a new factory. And finally, you plan for the people. Do you have the right team with the right skills to make it all happen? And demand forecasting? That's the engine that drives this entire long-term plan. You can't make smart, big-picture decisions without a really good guess about the future. So planners dive deep into their own past sales data, but they also have to be detectives, looking at everything happening outside the company, market trends, the economy, even things like seasonal changes, to build the most accurate picture possible.
Okay, so we've got our North Star, but a year is a long time, and things, they change. So let's zoom into that next level of planning. This is the crucial bridge that connects that high-level grand strategy with the actual messy reality of the factory floor.
This next layer is called the Chunite Keikaku, and what it does is it takes that long-term forecast and starts sharpening it with real hard data. We're not just guessing anymore. We're looking at actual customer orders that are starting to roll in. So the goal here becomes tactical. Let's make sure we have all the right materials and people ready for what we know we have to build in the next few months. And this just shows you how tactical this midterm plan really is. It is all about adjustment and preparation. Planners are ordering raw materials, but they're paying super close attention to how long it takes for those materials to show up. They're checking machine maintenance schedules, tweaking worker shifts, all to perfectly match the confirmed orders. This is where the plan starts to feel very, very real. All right, now we zoom in all the way. We're done talking about months and weeks. We're down to days, hours, even minutes. This is the operational level. This is where the plan becomes a concrete step-by-step to-do list for every person and every machine on the floor. This is the Shonite Keikaku. You can think of it as the boots-on-the-ground execution plan, and it is incredibly detailed. It doesn't just say, hey, build 100 widgets today. Oh no, it says, Machine A will make this specific part from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then Operator Jane will move it to Machine B for the next step. It's the final, super actionable instruction manual for the day. So the name of the game here is immediate action and reaction. A huge piece of the short-term plan is just monitoring everything in real time. If a machine breaks down or a shipment of parts is late, boom, you've got a bottleneck. This plan is designed to spot those problems the second they happen and figure out a workaround to keep the entire line from grinding to a halt. It's all about agility.
This table just sums the whole system up perfectly, doesn't it? You can see that crystal clear flow from the strategic to the tactical to the operational. As the time frame shrinks, the goal gets way more specific and the activities become more and more granular. Each layer gives the next one the context it needs, creating this incredibly coherent and powerful planning machine.
Okay, so we've seen how this whole system works, but so what? Why go through all this trouble? Well, the payoff is massive, and it directly hits a company's bottom line, and maybe even more importantly, its reputation with its customers.
First and foremost, you actually deliver when you say you're going to. The long-term plan makes sure you have enough factory capacity to even begin. The midterm plan turns that capacity into a concrete promise by getting the right materials in the door for real orders. And then the short-term plan acts as the final guardian, navigating all the little daily hiccups to make sure that original promise is kept. It's a chain of reliability.
Now, this one is huge because inventory is really just cash sitting on a shelf collecting dust. This layered plan acts like a super sophisticated filter. Instead of buying a whole year's worth of stuff based on a rough guess, you only buy what you need for the confirmed orders in the next few months. And then you only pull in the materials for this specific week's work. The result? Way, way less money tied up in a warehouse. And finally, it just makes everything run better. Real efficiency comes from getting rid of friction. The long-term plan prevents the big friction, like realizing halfway through the year that you don't have enough machines. The midterm plan smooths things out by making sure people and parts are ready and waiting. And that short-term plan? It's fine-tuning the daily flow so every person and every machine is used to its absolute fullest potential. No waste.
So as we wrap this up, it's pretty clear that this whole thing isn't just about making a bunch of schedules. It's about creating a system that can look far into the future, but is also incredibly responsive to what's happening right now. It's a framework for finding stability in a world that is always changing.
And that, right there, is really the ultimate takeaway. The goal of all this planning, from that big yearly vision down to the hourly schedule, is to achieve one thing: stability. Because a stable, predictable manufacturing process is an efficient one, a profitable one, and one that can consistently deliver for its customers, no matter what surprises come along. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. This whole macro to microwave planning, it isn't just for giant factories. Think about a big project you have at work, or maybe even a personal goal. Where could a long-term vision, a mid-term tactical plan, and a short-term daily schedule help you bring a little bit of order to your chaos? Thanks for watching.